the river that flowed backward. In the Valley of Dust, the ground was a giant jigsaw puzzle of cracked brown clay. Amara looked down into the village well, but all she saw was a lonely pebble at the bottom. The sun had been hugging the earth too tightly for too long, and every throat was scratchy and dry. Amara gripped her empty wooden pail and sighed. Suddenly, Amara heard a strange sound, a happy gurgle slosh that didn't belong in a desert. She ran to the edge of the empty riverbed. To her amazement, a thin ribbon of bright blue water was waking up, but it wasn't flowing down toward the valley. It was sprinting uphill, climbing the steep rocks like a shimmering blue snake heading for the great peak. "Wait for us," Amara cried. She knew that if the water reached the top and stayed there, the valley would be lost to the dust forever. She began to climb, her small boots crunching on the dry earth. She had to find out why the river was running away from home. The higher she went, the steeper the mountain became. Near a lonely wilted bush, Amara found a tiny frog named Finn. He was stuck in a patch of sticky gray sludge that smelled like old smoke. Finn's clay skin was dull, and he was too tired to hop. Amara gently scooped him up with a leaf and cleaned his tiny webbed feet with the very last drop of water from her flask. "Thank you," Finn croaked, his voice like two pebbles rubbing together. "The water is scared, Amara. It is hiding in the clouds because the people below forgot how to say please. And thank you to the earth." Amara placed Finn on her shoulder, and together they followed the backwards river higher and higher into the mist. At the very top of the mountain, the river gathered into a giant, swirling pool. Out of the center rose Varuna, the spirit of the water. He was as tall as a pine tree, made entirely of crashing waves and foam that looked like spun glass. His eyes were deep like the ocean, but they were filled with a stormy sadness. "Why do you call me back?" Varuna's voice boomed like a waterfall. "Your people have filled my veins with trash and taken my gifts without a thought. I will stay here in the sky where it is clean." He pointed a watery finger down at the valley, where dark spots of pollution stained the distant riverbanks. Amara looked at Finn, then at her own hands. She realized that Varuna was right. She knelt by the mountain pool and began to pick out the small bits of blowing litter that had followed the wind upward. She and Finn worked together to build a small filter of clean white stones to keep the mountain pool pure. "We were wrong, Varuna," Amara whispered, looking up at the Great Spirit. "But I promise to be your protector. I will teach the others that the water is a guest we must cherish, not a servant we can mistreat." She reached out and touched the cool, wet surface of Varuna's hand with a steady, brave heart. Varuna smiled, and his laughter sounded like a summer rain. With a great roar, the river turned around. It tumbled down the mountain like a joyful blue slide, carrying Amara and Finn back to the valley. As the water touched the parched earth, green grass began to poke through the clay, and the Valley of Dust became the Valley of Life once more.